The case began with fear. Not the kind that arrives suddenly, but the kind that slowly settles into a person's life and refuses to leave. For years, a woman named Cindy James claimed that someone was watching her, following her, threatening her, attacking her. Police investigated. Friends worried. Neighbors became suspicious. Yet as the years passed, one disturbing question emerged. Was Cindy James the victim of a relentless stalker? Or was something far more complicated happening behind the scenes? This is the mysterious case of Cindy James. In the late 1970s, Cindy James was living in Richmond, British Columbia, a city near Vancouver, Canada. Born Cynthia James, she was known as a caring person and worked as a nurse. Friends described her as intelligent, compassionate, and dedicated to helping others. From the outside, her life appeared relatively normal. But following the breakdown of her marriage to psychiatrist Roy Makepeace, strange events began to unfold. In 1982, Cindy reported receiving threatening phone calls. At first, the calls seemed like harassment. Then the threats became more personal. She told police that someone was watching her home. She reported anonymous letters. She claimed that an unknown individual was trying to terrorize her. What initially appeared to be a nuisance soon escalated into something much darker. According to Cindy, the harassment became constant. She said she was being followed while driving. She claimed threatening messages were left on her answering machine. Some messages reportedly warned her that she would die. As the months passed, the situation became increasingly alarming. Friends noticed her fear. Police opened investigations, yet despite numerous reports, they struggled to identify a suspect. Then the physical incidents began. In one case, Cindy was found outside her home, appearing injured and distressed. On another occasion, she reported being attacked with a knife. At different times, she was discovered with injuries that seemed difficult to explain. One incident involved her being found in a ditch, partially dressed and suffering from what appeared to be the effects of a drug overdose. Each event seemed to support her claims that someone was targeting her. But investigators faced a major problem. Evidence was often missing. Witnesses rarely saw an attacker, and whenever police followed potential leads, they encountered dead ends. As years passed, the mystery deepened. Law enforcement spent enormous amounts of time and resources investigating the case. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police and local police departments examined evidence, interviewed witnesses, and attempted surveillance operations. Yet, no clear suspect ever emerged. Attention naturally turned toward people in Cindy's life. Among those examined was her former husband. However, investigators never found sufficient evidence linking him to the harassment. Others were also considered. Still, no theory fully explained what was happening. By the mid-1980s, Cindy's story had become well known within the community. Some people believed she was the victim of a sophisticated stalker. Others began to wonder whether the incidents might somehow be self-inflicted. The possibility was controversial. Friends who supported Cindy argued that no one would willingly endure years of fear and injury. Skeptics pointed to inconsistencies and the absence of solid evidence. The case divided opinions. Even experienced investigators struggled to determine what was real and what was not. Then came one of the most disturbing incidents. In January 1984, firefighters responding to a call discovered Cindy outside her home. She appeared injured and was suffering from exposure to the cold. A nylon stocking was reportedly tied tightly around her neck. The scene suggested a violent attack. Yet once again, there were no witnesses, no suspect, no clear explanation. The years continued, the reports continued, and the mystery only grew. By 1989, Cindy had spent nearly 7 years living under the shadow of fear. Her physical and emotional health had reportedly deteriorated. Friends described her as exhausted. The uncertainty surrounding her life had become overwhelming. In May of that year, Cindy disappeared. When she failed to appear for scheduled appointments, concern spread quickly. A search began. For days, investigators looked for clues. Then, on June 8, 1989, her body was discovered in an abandoned area near Richmond. The scene immediately raised more questions than answers. Cindy was found near an empty house. Her hands and feet were bound. A nylon stocking was wrapped around her neck. Toxicology reports later revealed significant levels of morphine and other drugs in her system. The circumstances appeared suspicious, yet investigators struggled to determine exactly what had happened. Had she been murdered? Had she taken her own life? Or had some combination of factors led to her death? The evidence did not point clearly in any one direction. A coroner's inquest was eventually held. After reviewing years of reports, testimony, and investigative findings, the jury reached a frustrating conclusion. The cause of Cindy James's death was classified as unknown. The manner of death remained undetermined. In other words, no one could confidently say whether she had been killed, taken her own life, or died under some other circumstance. Even today, decades later, the case remains one of Canada's most debated mysteries. Those who believe Cindy was a victim point to the threats, injuries, and years of reported harassment. They argue that a determined stalker may have successfully avoided detection. Others believe psychological factors may have played a larger role. They point to the lack of definitive evidence and the unusual circumstances surrounding many of the incidents. Neither explanation fully answers every question. That uncertainty is what keeps the case alive. Unlike many mysteries, there is no single piece of evidence that neatly resolves the story. No confession, no proven suspect, no definitive conclusion. Only years of fear, unanswered questions, and a woman whose final chapter remains shrouded in uncertainty. More than 3 decades after her death, Cindy James continues to occupy a unique place in true crime history. Her case challenges investigators, psychologists, and researchers alike. It forces people to confront the uncomfortable reality that sometimes the truth remains hidden, even after years of investigation. Whether Cindy James was the target of a relentless stalker or trapped within a mystery that no one fully understood, one fact remains undeniable. She spent the final years of her life surrounded by fear. And despite countless investigations, that fear still casts a shadow over one of Canada's most perplexing, unsolved cases. The mystery of Cindy James remains unsolved.